My friend, listen carefully. Your mind is the battlefield where victories are won or lost. What you allow to live in your thoughts will eventually find its way into your mouth, and what flows from your mouth will shape the direction of your life. Every word you speak is a seed, and every thought you nurture is a blueprint for your future. And yes, your money, it follows the habits of your mind and the discipline of your words. So, if you want to change your life, you must first change what controls you. Are you ready to take back authority over your mind, your mouth, and your money? My friend, the mind is the most powerful force you possess, yet it can also be the most dangerous if left unguarded. Everything begins with a thought. Every decision, every action, every habit, every word you speak, all of it is first conceived in the quiet chambers of your mind. Your mind is like fertile soil. It doesn't care what you plant, whether it's fear or faith, doubt or confidence, poverty or prosperity. It will produce exactly what you allow to take root. And here's the truth. Whatever dominates your thinking will eventually dominate your life. Have you noticed how a single thought can shape your entire day? A negative idea, a lingering fear, a hidden insecurity, it creeps in silently, but soon it controls your emotions, it controls your mood, and it begins to dictate your choices. And before you know it, your life is moving in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. That is why you cannot afford to let your mind wander aimlessly. You must take responsibility for what you feed it. The mind is also a gate. It's a gate to your purpose, a gate to your potential, but it's also a gate that can open to destruction if you're not careful. If you keep feeding it with toxic conversations, endless distractions, and lies about who you are, don't be surprised when your life mirrors confusion. But when you fill your mind with truth, with wisdom, with clarity, your entire being aligns with purpose. And let me tell you something, the enemy of your future doesn't attack your body first. It attacks your thoughts. Because if it can influence your thinking, it can control your life without lifting a finger. Isn't it true that before someone quits, before they fail, before they even speak defeat, they think defeat first? So the greatest battle you will ever fight is not out there, it's in here. Your victory begins in the arena of your mind. So how do you gain mastery over your thoughts? You must become intentional. You must filter what you allow to enter, because what enters will eventually come out. You must decide to stop entertaining lies about your worth, to stop meditating on the past, to stop rehearsing pain. And you must replace those thoughts with the vision of the future you desire, the truth of who you were created to be, the wisdom that builds rather than destroys. If you change your thinking, you will change your life. But here's the catch. Your thoughts don't just stay silent. They eventually find a voice. They shape the words you speak, and your words carry power. So if your mind is the seed, your mouth is the water, and what you water will grow. So let me ask you, what's coming out of your mouth? Are your words building or breaking your destiny? Stay with me, because next we're going to uncover why your mouth is either your greatest weapon or your greatest trap. Listen carefully. Your mouth is not just an instrument for communication, it is an instrument of creation. Every word you speak carries life or death, blessing or curse, victory or defeat. Words are not empty, they are seeds, and every seed will produce after its kind. What you consistently declare with your mouth will shape the atmosphere around you. Have you ever noticed when someone speaks fear long enough, their life begins to mirror fear? And when someone speaks faith long enough, their life begins to attract solutions. That's because your words have power beyond what you see. Your mouth reveals what's living in your heart. It exposes what's been silently growing in your mind. If your thoughts are polluted, your speech will be polluted. If your mind is filled with truth, your speech will release wisdom. That's why you can never underestimate the weight of a single sentence you release into the air. The words you speak today are paving the road you will walk tomorrow. There's a reason why some people never rise beyond mediocrity. They keep saying, I can't, I'm not enough, I'll never make it. And life simply obeys their confession. There's also a reason why some people, despite the odds, keep moving forward. They speak life into their dreams. They declare hope even when it looks impossible. They refuse to give their words permission to destroy their future. What you speak, you invite. Your mouth is like a steering wheel. It can turn your life toward destiny, or it can drive you straight into disaster. Every time you open your mouth, you are either building your future or tearing it apart. And it's not just about what you say to others. It's also about what you say to yourself. What are you whispering in the silence of your own thoughts? Are you encouraging your own spirit, or are you poisoning it with doubt and negativity? Guard your words. Be intentional. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this building me? Is this aligning with the life I want? Is this giving life to my purpose, or is it killing it slowly? Because once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. They create ripple effects, affecting relationships, opportunities, even your own self-image. That's why wisdom teaches us to be slow to speak but quick to listen. And here's the truth. You can change your entire environment by changing your language. Speak with gratitude and watch your perspective shift. Speak with faith and watch doors open. Speak with clarity and watch confusion fade. Your words are the bridge between your thoughts and your reality. But now let me ask you, how do your thoughts and your words connect to your resources? How does the discipline of your mouth affect the flow of your money? Because if you can't control your mind and your mouth, you'll never control your finances. Stay with me, because next we will uncover the silent test of character that money reveals. Your mind is the gateway to your destiny. Everything you will ever become, everything you will ever achieve, begins with the condition of your mind. You can never rise higher than the level of your thinking. If your thoughts are small, your life will remain small. If your thoughts are limited, your potential will remain locked. But when your mind is renewed, when it is expanded, when it is aligned with purpose, suddenly what once seemed impossible becomes possible. Your mind is like a blueprint. Before a building is ever constructed, it exists first in the architect's design. In the same way, your life is being built according to the designs you allow in your thoughts. If you want a different future, you must first create a different mental picture. What are you imagining? What vision are you carrying? What belief systems are shaping the way you see yourself? Because you will never manifest what you cannot first conceive. Many people are trapped in cycles, not because they lack opportunities, but because their mind has been conditioned to expect less, to believe less, to settle for less. And so even when doors open, they cannot walk through because their thinking has already disqualified them. That's why the greatest freedom you can ever experience is freedom in your mind. When you break mental chains, when you reject the lies you've believed, when you allow truth to replace the noise, then and only then will you see your life begin to shift. Your destiny is waiting for your mind to catch up. Your potential is already there, but it is locked behind the way you think. And here is something powerful. You were never created to live in mental poverty. You were designed to think like a creator, to think with clarity, to think with purpose. But the world is constantly trying to feed your mind confusion, fear, distraction. That is why you must be deliberate about what you meditate on, because whatever you meditate on the longest will become the strongest. When your mind is aligned with wisdom, your decisions begin to align with success. When your mind is aligned with faith, your steps begin to align with courage. When your mind is aligned with vision, your life begins to move in the direction of destiny. As your mind goes, so your life will go. But here's the challenge. Your mind is only the beginning. Your thoughts may create the blueprint, but they are powerless without action. And the first action that reveals what you truly believe is the words you speak and the decisions you make. And among those decisions, there is one area that reveals your true character more than anything else. So let me ask you, how do you manage what's in your hands? How do you handle the resources entrusted to you? Because next, we will uncover the hidden connection between your mindset and your money. Your mouth reveals the true condition of your heart. You can hide your thoughts for a while. You can mask your emotions with a smile. But eventually, your words will expose what's really inside you. The mouth is like a window. It shows the unseen world of your inner life. If your heart is filled with bitterness, it will spill out in harsh words. If your heart is filled with gratitude, it will overflow with kindness and encouragement. What you consistently speak is evidence of what you consistently believe. Have you ever caught yourself saying something and wondered, where did that come from? It came from within you. It came from the thoughts you've been meditating on, the beliefs you've been carrying silently. Your mouth simply amplifies what your mind has been rehearsing. That's why it's impossible to live a life of purpose while constantly speaking words of defeat. It's impossible to build meaningful relationships while releasing words of destruction. It's impossible to step into abundance while your mouth keeps agreeing with lack. Your words are like seeds, but they are also like mirrors. They reflect what's in you, and they reproduce what you release. This is why wisdom teaches that you must guard your heart, because whatever enters your heart will eventually exit your mouth. And once words are spoken, they take on a life of their own. They can heal or they can wound. They can lift someone higher or they can push someone deeper into despair. And here's the sobering truth. Your own words can even limit your own destiny. Think about it. How many dreams have been buried? Not because of lack of ability, but because of words like, I can't, it's too hard, it's too late. How many relationships have been destroyed, not because of a lack of love, but because of careless, angry, or thoughtless words? How many opportunities have slipped away because someone talked themselves out of believing they were capable? Your words are not harmless. They shape the world you live in. So you must become intentional with your speech. Speak life even when you feel surrounded by death. Speak hope even when everything looks hopeless. Speak gratitude even when resources seem scarce, because your mouth has the power to shift your atmosphere. And remember, it's not just about what you say to others, it's also about what you say to yourself. The inner dialogue you repeat daily will either build your confidence or destroy it. But now let's go deeper, because what you speak reveals more than your thoughts. It also reveals your level of discipline. And nowhere is discipline more tested than in how you manage what you have. So let me ask you, how do your thoughts and your words shape the way you handle your money? Stay with me, because next we're going to uncover the hidden link between self-control and financial freedom. Money is not just paper, it is a test. It is one of the greatest mirrors of your character, your discipline, and your priorities. How you manage your resources reveals how you manage your life. If you cannot control what flows through your hands, how can you be trusted with more? Money amplifies who you really are. If you are wise, it will multiply wisdom. If you are careless, it will multiply your mistakes. If you are generous, it will multiply your impact. And if you are selfish, it will multiply your greed. So many people chase after money without first learning the discipline to sustain it. That's why even when some finally get it, it slips away just as quickly. Money without self-control is like pouring water into a basket. It never stays. It takes wisdom, intentionality, and restraint to turn money into a tool for purpose instead of a trap for destruction. Financial discipline begins with the mind. If your thoughts are consumed with instant gratification, you will always spend without vision. If your words constantly declare lack, you will never build abundance. But when your mind is renewed and your mouth aligns with vision, you begin to see money differently. It is no longer just for survival. It becomes a resource to build, to invest, to create, to bless. Ask yourself, how do you handle the little you have? Because how you manage the little determines if you can be trusted with much. If you can't budget a small income, what will happen when you receive more? If you can't resist unnecessary spending now, what will happen when the pressure to impress others grows? Money doesn't change you, it exposes you. It reveals your priorities, your level of patience, and your ability to delay pleasure for a greater purpose. True financial freedom is not about how much you have. It's about how well you manage what you have. You must learn to control your desires instead of letting your desires control you. You must learn to say no to what doesn't align with your future and yes to what builds your destiny. Because every dollar you handle is a decision. Either you are moving closer to purpose or drifting further away. But here is the deeper truth. Money is only a tool. It can build your future, but it cannot define your value. It can open doors, but it cannot give you true fulfillment. So the real question is not just how you manage your money, but why you manage it. What is the purpose behind your resources? And that leads us to something even more powerful. Because when your thoughts, your words, and your resources align with purpose, everything in your life begins to shift. But purpose is not just discovered, it is unlocked. So let me ask you, are you living by design or are you living by default? Stay with me, because next we will uncover how to align your thoughts, your words, and your resources with the greater purpose you were created for. When your thoughts, your words, and your resources are aligned with purpose, your life begins to move with clarity and direction. Purpose brings order to chaos. It tells your mind what to focus on. It shapes the language that comes out of your mouth, and it dictates how you handle what's in your hands. Without purpose, you live in reaction, chasing whatever feels urgent, but never building what is truly important. But when you live with purpose, everything you think, everything you say, everything you spend begins to serve a greater vision. Purpose gives meaning to discipline. Why guard your mind if you have no vision? Why watch your words if you don't know what you're building? Why save and invest if you have no clear future in sight? Purpose is the compass that points your life in the right direction. It silences distractions. It makes it easier to say no to what doesn't matter and yes to what moves you closer to destiny. When your mind aligns with purpose, you stop entertaining every random thought. You become intentional about what you allow in because you know it will shape your future. When your mouth aligns with purpose, your speech changes. You stop wasting words on gossip, fear, and negativity. You begin to speak life. You begin to declare what you see in the future, even before it becomes reality. And when your money aligns with purpose, you stop using it only for pleasure, and you start using it for impact. You save with intention. You invest with wisdom, and you give with a heart that understands the bigger picture. But here is what you must realize. Purpose is not about perfection. It's about direction. It is about living with clarity, knowing why you are here, and making decisions that align with that why. Without it, you will keep chasing after more, but still feel empty. Without it, even your greatest achievements will feel meaningless. But with purpose, even the smallest steps feel significant. Even your struggles have meaning because you know they are shaping you for something greater. And this is why alignment is so powerful. When your thoughts, your words, and your resources all serve the same vision, your life gains momentum. You stop living in fragments and you start living in flow. You become unstoppable because everything within you is moving in the same direction. But let me warn you, even when you find your purpose, there will still be resistance. There will still be cycles, patterns, and habits that try to pull you back into the old version of yourself. So the question is, how do you break free from the limitations of your past? How do you escape the mental and financial cycles that keep holding you back? Stay with me, because next we will uncover how to break the cycle of mental and financial poverty and step into a life of true freedom. Many people live trapped in silent cycles. Cycles of mental poverty, cycles of financial struggle, cycles of repeated mistakes that seem impossible to break. But let me tell you, poverty doesn't begin in the pocket, it begins in the mind. Before it ever shows up in your bank account, it takes root in your thoughts. And before it becomes a lifestyle, it becomes a language spoken over and over until it feels like truth. Mental poverty is when you believe there is never enough. It's when you think small, speak small, and expect small. It convinces you that success belongs to someone else, that abundance is for others, not you. And when your mind embraces that limitation, your life begins to mirror it. You spend without vision, you live without planning, and you settle for less than what you were created for. It's not the lack of resources that keeps many people trapped. It's the lack of belief that more is possible. Financial poverty is often just the fruit of this deeper mindset. Even if someone receives more money without renewing the way they think, the cycle continues. They may earn more, but they still mismanage. They may save for a while, but they still sabotage their own progress. That's why many who escape temporary lack eventually return to it, because they never escape the thinking that created it. To break these cycles, you must first shift your identity. You must begin to see yourself as capable, as worthy, as someone who can create, manage, and multiply. You must educate yourself, discipline yourself, and refuse to be ruled by impulse or fear. You must surround yourself with new environments, new conversations, new examples that challenge your old way of thinking. Because until you change the way you see yourself, you will always return to what feels familiar. Breaking cycles also requires you to change your habits. If you want a different future, you can't keep repeating the same actions. If you want financial freedom, you must embrace structure, planning, and delayed gratification. If you want mental freedom, you must stop feeding your mind with thoughts of defeat and start feeding it with truth, wisdom, and vision. The cycle only ends when you replace it with something better. And here's the beautiful part. Once you break the cycle, you don't just free yourself, you free the generations after you. You set a new standard. You create a new legacy. Your children and their children will no longer inherit limitations. They will inherit possibility. But breaking cycles takes more than desire. It takes self-control. It takes the ability to master yourself when everything in you wants to return to what's easy. So the question is, how do you develop the kind of self-control that keeps you moving forward? Stay with me, because next we will uncover the power of self-control and how it unlocks opportunities you never imagined possible. Self-control is one of the greatest forms of strength you will ever develop. It is the ability to govern yourself when no one is watching, to say no to what feels good now so you can say yes to what will be good later. Without self-control, even the most gifted, the most intelligent, the most talented person will eventually sabotage their own success. Because what you cannot control will eventually control you. Think about it. How many people have lost opportunities, not because they lacked ability, but because they couldn't control their emotions? How many have lost relationships because they couldn't control their tongue? How many have lost money because they couldn't control their spending? And how many have lost time, years of their lives, because they couldn't control their habits? A lack of self-control always leads to loss. Self-control is the invisible fence that protects your purpose. It keeps you from drifting into distractions. It keeps you from making decisions based on impulse rather than wisdom. It teaches you patience in a world that worships instant gratification. It whispers, "Not now, not yet, not this way." When everything around you screams, "Do it now, take it all." Don't wait. It's easy to follow every emotion, every craving, every desire. But strength is proven when you can feel the pull of temptation and still choose the higher path. Self-control says, "I don't have to respond to everything I feel. I don't have to spend everything I have. I don't have to speak every word that comes to my mind." It is power in restraint. It is wisdom in action. And it is the key that unlocks doors that remain closed to the undisciplined. And here is the beautiful truth. Self-control doesn't take away your freedom. It gives you freedom. Because when you master yourself, you are no longer a slave to your emotions, your habits, your past, or even the expectations of others. You become free to focus, free to build, free to rise higher. True freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's the ability to do what is right even when it's hard. When you embrace self-control, you stop repeating cycles that held you back. You start building habits that create stability. You begin to see opportunities others miss because you are not distracted by things that drain your energy and focus. Self-control positions you for favor, for trust, for promotion, because you prove you can handle more without losing yourself. But self-control is not just about holding back. It is also about directing your energy toward the right things. It is about channeling your focus, your time, your resources into what truly matters. And that brings us to something powerful, because once you gain self-control, you can finally handle the responsibility of wisdom, wealth, and influence. But how do wisdom, wealth, and words connect to your destiny? Stay with me, because next we will uncover the hidden relationship between wisdom, wealth, and the words you speak. Wisdom, wealth, and words are deeply connected, more than most people realize. Wisdom is the foundation, wealth is the fruit, and words are the channel. Without wisdom, wealth becomes a burden instead of a blessing. Without wisdom, your words lose power, and your wealth loses purpose. And without wisdom, you can have everything in your hands, but still lose everything in your life. Wisdom teaches you how to see beyond the surface. It shows you the difference between what is urgent and what is truly important. It teaches you how to handle opportunities, how to navigate relationships, how to multiply what's been entrusted to you. And when you operate with wisdom, your words gain weight, because they are no longer empty. They carry understanding, they carry truth, they carry life. A wise person knows when to speak, how to speak, and what to leave unsaid. Wealth without wisdom is dangerous. It magnifies your weaknesses. It exposes your lack of discipline. It attracts people and opportunities that can destroy you if you're not prepared. But wealth in the hands of someone who is wise, it becomes a tool to build, to create, to influence generations. Wisdom tells you how to manage, how to invest, how to give, and how to ensure your resources serve a greater purpose than just your own desires. And then there are your words. Words are like seeds, but when they are guided by wisdom, they produce a harvest of influence and favor. Words spoken without wisdom create confusion, but words spoken with wisdom bring clarity. Even wealth is sustained by the wisdom of your words. Think about it. Your ability to communicate, to negotiate, to speak with integrity, all of it determines how opportunities flow into your life. Your words can open doors that money alone cannot buy. When wisdom, wealth, and words align, something powerful happens. You begin to live with balance. You no longer chase money for validation, Because wisdom tells you it's just a tool. You no longer waste words on negativity because wisdom reminds you they have power. And you no longer mismanage opportunities because wisdom shows you how to multiply them. But let me tell you, wisdom is not something you stumble into. It's something you pursue. It's something you value more than temporary pleasure. It requires humility to learn, patience to apply, and discipline to live by. And when you embrace it, everything connected to you begins to elevate. But here's the key. Living with wisdom doesn't just change your external life. It transforms how you see yourself and how you see the world. It awakens you to live intentionally. So let me ask you, are you living by accident or are you living on purpose? Stay with me, because next we will uncover how to live intentionally and master what truly matters in life. Living intentionally is the key to mastering what truly matters in life. You were not created to simply exist, to wake up, go through routines, and survive another day. No, you were designed to live with purpose, with clarity, with a sense of direction that guides every thought, every word, every decision you make. Life is not about how long you live, but how well you live. It's not about how much you accumulate, but how much impact you create with the time, the resources, and the opportunities given to you. When you live intentionally, you stop drifting. You stop being tossed around by circumstances, opinions, and emotions. You begin to live by design, not by default. You prioritize what matters most. Your mind becomes focused. Your mouth becomes disciplined. Your money becomes purposeful. You begin to see that every moment is an opportunity. Every conversation is an investment. Every decision is a seed that will produce a harvest. Intentional living means you stop wasting time on what doesn't align with your destiny. So many people wake up years later and wonder where their life went. They realize they were busy but not productive. They were moving but not progressing. They were living but not fulfilled. That's because they never took time to define their why. They never asked themselves, what was I created for? What am I building? Who am I becoming? Without those answers, you live in cycles that keep you busy but never satisfied. But when you choose to live with intention, everything changes. You become selective with what you allow into your mind because you know it will shape your future. You choose your words carefully because you know they have the power to create. You handle your money with wisdom because you know it is a tool for purpose, not just pleasure. And most importantly, you begin to align your entire life with the bigger picture, your calling, your destiny, your reason for being. Living intentionally also means you don't wait for perfect conditions to start. You don't wait until everything feels easy. You start with what you have, where you are, and you move step by step toward what you were designed to do. Because intention is not about speed, it's about direction. Even small, consistent steps taken intentionally will take you further than aimless running in circles. So now it all comes back to you. Your mind, your mouth, your money, your habits, your decisions. They are all waiting for one thing, for you to choose purpose over passivity, clarity over confusion, and discipline over distraction. You hold the power to design the life you desire, but it begins with a decision. So I ask you today, will you keep living by accident, or will you step into a life of intention? Will you keep reacting to life, or will you take control and lead it? Will you allow your thoughts, your words, and your actions to remain scattered, or will you align them with your destiny? The choice is yours. Your future is waiting. Your purpose is calling. And your time is now.